This is a response to Neph video, The Living Dinosaur Wins. Firstly, Neph, I'd like to thank you for recognizing me with your little award. I'll treasure it always. Now, I took a look at your reply and was struck by the fact that it wasn't so much of a response as a rambling and unbelievably tedious repetition of all the same old crap I'd addressed in my video. You tried to refute just one of the points I made, and as I'll demonstrate, you even failed at that. Nevertheless, I found some of what you said quite amusing, and it also gives me the opportunity to make a few points that I didn't have time for earlier. So strap on your crash helmet, Neph, and let's get started.
What you and many novice evolutionists attempt to do is redefine morphology as a comparative anatomy. You're not talking about morphology, pal. You don't understand science. You're talking about anatomy. Anatomy, not morphology.
Neph. This was the only refutation you had to any of my points, and you even failed terminally at that, for two reasons. Firstly, you seem to have completely missed the point I was making. Or did you just ignore it because you couldn't come up with a response of any substance? The point, Neph, wasn't about the definition of the word morphology, but that your pathetic semantic word games do nothing to change the physical evidence that you're attempting to refute. Let me give you another example of what you're trying to do, and maybe this time it'll sink in. Science presents an insurmountable mountain of evidence that shows that Kent Hovind is a lying shitbag. Neph disagrees, but is unable to refute the obviously accurate fact, so instead he says, "Sorry, Sporty, you lose. He's not a shitbag, see? Look at my dictionary. He's a sack of shit. See the difference? You're wrong, and I just squished you, see?" Does the word or words you use really change the fact that Kent is filled to capacity with putrid fecal matter? I don't think so. Changing the linguistic label you slap on the facts doesn't change the facts themselves, Neph. It's just intellectually dishonest. So feel free to continue to change the meaning of words that everyone else at the party is using, Neph. But do be aware that while they're happily chatting in the living room over a few drinks, you'll be the sad bastard locked in a bathroom talking to himself in gibberish. And the second reason you failed, Neph, is that you're just plain wrong again. You claim you were talking about anatomy, but the definitions you showed us clearly state that that deals exclusively with structure. How exactly is this the same as the combination of external shape and internal structure? Do you think that no one reads the words you put up on the screen?
He's not even talking about morphology. He's talking about anatomy. See, this is the evolutionist game. Because there's no evidence of morphological change, we'll have to say that comparative anatomy provides evidence of evolution because organisms look different. Therefore, morphology has changed.
Okay, Neph, I suppose you didn't like the words I suggested, so let's use anatomy. Makes no difference to me. Now maybe you'll finally explain exactly why the external and internal physical differences between and within species that we choose to label with a sequence of phonetic constructs that make the sound anatomical aren't formed by evolutionary processes. It makes no difference what combination of vowels and consonants you use to describe the physical differences between dog breeds, extant species, or specimens in the fossil record. It doesn't change the fact that they exist and that they are beautifully explained by the theory of evolution. All you're doing is playing with labels in a transparent attempt to avoid dealing with the issue that reality undoubtedly contradicts the veracity of the simplistic Bible stories to which you're wed.
Now what you just saw him do is try to describe me and my methodology. What he's really doing, this is called projection. What he's trying to do is take his own failure and apply it to me.
I almost pissed myself when I heard this, Neph. If it were actually true, me projecting my failure onto you would be tantamount to pinning a skid mark onto the world's biggest ball of dung. Let's take a little look at who's actually doing the projecting here.
Pay attention, folks. This is a perfect example of what you're about to see of how evolutionists deny science, how evolutionism is anti-science. Because you see, evolution is a fantasy. It's an illusion. They do this because evolution is not supported by science, and it's not even science. It's not scientific, and that's why they attempt to change science, you see, redefine it, and deny science. in their attempts to make evolution seem like science. Because you're an evolutionist and don't understand science because you don't like science, and you're anti-science because evolution is not science and not supported by science.
Fucking hell, Neph. I'm surprised you didn't blow a bulb after all that. Considering that many evolutionists actually have degrees in science and some are even working scientists, while you have a 2-year certificate of bullshit from the University of Google and consistently prove yourself to be completely ignorant in every field that you claim authority on, I think it's pretty obvious who's doing the projecting. I'm also curious about what you think science actually is. Have you been redefining words again when I wasn't looking, Neph? Anyway, fortunately the opinion of an ignorant and uneducated blowhard on what constitutes science wouldn't change what it is and why it works. Your kind of science would have us praying to an empty sky to heal our sick, to feed our children, and to bring us closer together, and we'll try and explain everything with just 3 magic words.
You know, evolution happened because a rat's shaped differently from a horse. That's proof of evolution right there. Good job, Sporty, for non-thinking.
Ooh. Why do I feel like I was just groped on a crowded subway by a strange man in a dirty Mac? Apart from pointing out the blatantly dishonest misrepresentation of evolution, the only reason I included this clip was to find out if anyone else found it as creepy as I did. So Neph, I don't know if you're going to make a reply to this, but if you do, might I suggest that you actually try addressing some of the points I made instead of just repeating your bogus claims ad nauseum. As a reminder, here are a few of the things that you neglected to tackle. 1. Why does a wasp with a leg embedded in its head not constitute a morphological change by your definition or anyone else's? And by the way, if you try your genetic reversion argument, then be warned. I've read the actual paper involved and not the layman's summary you quote, and will be more than happy to roll it up and ram it up your ass. Sideways. 2. Why do you think that 70 years of genetic mutation research should be expected to produce a permanent morphological change in a species when this has never been the goal of any such experiment? And why the fuck is this an argument against the veracity of evolutionary theory? 3. Why were you unable to locate a paper that refuted your assertion when I was able to find it in seconds using the exact same URL you were provided with? 4. After the evidence I presented, do you still feel that scientists do not believe that differences between dog breeds are morphological? A retraction would be nice. 5. Why do you feel yourself qualified to comment on scientific issues as if you'd actually studied these subjects? 6. Do you have any evidence of the alleged squishing of Dr. Mark McPeak? 7. Why do you feel that the failings of Lamarckism have anything to do with modern evolutionary theory? 8. Can you provide a quantitative explanation as to why it would take a sequence of at least 20 transitional fossils to satisfy you? 9. What exactly is a kind? 10. In the absence of said definition, what qualifies you to be able to distinguish between them? I'd be really interested in hearing your response to these points, Neph, but if all you're going to do is subject us to another 15-minute tirade rehashing the same old shit, then please don't bother, because all you'll be doing is showing the world what you're really made of.